Hi, hello, welcome to the podcast. It's Directly Used, episode 223. It's our podcast. Who are we? We're AJ. I'm of Redirect. I'm joined by Parker, also of Redirect. We make videos, we make podcasts, we talk about video games, primarily Nintendo, sometimes other stuff, sometimes Marvel. If you go to our Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, you can support us and all the things that I just mentioned by going to youtube.com/watchredirect or twitch.tv/watchredirect and giving $4.99 of your or Jeffy Bezos' money if you're on Twitch specifically and you have an Amazon Prime account, which you can link to your Twitch account. You get a free subscription every month. You got to remember to renew it. In exchange for that, you get stuff like loyalty badges, emotes, free Switch keys from time to time, access our supporters on Discord. We record this show and we record and sometimes it doesn't freaking get saved. So you get exclusive listening to some podcasts that disappear into the ether. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
And you can check out other benefits that you get by going to our Patreon specifically, which is patreon.com/watchredirect. All the things is /watchredirect. So if a social media account or website blows up, just, type in whatever social media known to man /watchredirect, and it's probably us.
Yeah.
You can join our Discord too. That's also linked in the description. Anyways, speaking of talking about video games, we're going to talk about a video game. We're talking about Pokemon, man. Pokemon is
So
a thing. I guess we could also, there's news. There's specific news. There's we got a patch which has some performance stuff up allegedly. It literally just came out, so
Yeah.
I don't know. But also the Charizard 7-star raids are happening. But before that, I kind of want to hear your update. You had how much more have you played?
It's truly more than you can imagine. So I got one gym badge.
Nice.
is where we're actually at. Yeah. No, but I'm having a good time. I haven't had a whole lot of chance to play much, but I did, went through the start of the school stuff. And yeah, sure enough, I like the lessons are more, even if some of, even if I know all the information so far that's in all of them, it's presented in a nice, concise way that feels like, I don't know, amicable, so that's, it's fun. It's not boring to go through. And from what I've seen of other people, the teachers themselves are all pretty likable and interesting and that kind of stuff. And I'm already getting that vibe a little bit from the lessons. And I do think it's interesting how much they just front loaded all the school stuff to where here's just everything you need before you go out. And I could obviously tell they were trying to just cram as much as they could in real quick before they send you out to do whatever it is that you want to do. And I'm sure there will be more cutscenes and all that kind of stuff throughout the rest of the game, more story things that happen. But it was just funny how they introduced the Victory Road thing, and then they introduced the each of the three separate things just one after another, so that they're all available to you at the beginning. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, as far as just the regular gameplay loop, I went out in the Clough direction to do. That's the only one I did. The Titan, Clough. I don't know. Clough, I guess. Yeah. What's the second half of that? Claw, obviously, and what's the?
Hey man, I have no idea.
I always wondered that with Pokemon
I didn't
names.
see the Lockston and Noggin video on that yet. If there is one, I'm sure it would eventually come.
I'm sure, exactly. Okay, Claw and Cliff, and with a K for no good
that
reason,
makes sense.
Right.
It's a rock. It's a rock crab. Crabs have claws. It's on a cliff. It hangs out on the cliff, man. You see it on the cliff.
It's true. But yeah, so I did that guy, and so now I'm riding around on my Koraidon. Yeah, I'm pretty sure ours is Koraidon, right? In Scarlet,
yes, Scarlet's Koraidon, Violet's Miraidon.
Nice. So I'm riding around on him and having a good time. I like the gameplay loop. It's sending out the Pokemon for auto battles is a nice little thing, and all in all, just having a good time. Looking forward to getting more playtime into it, but yeah, can't complain so far, basically.
Yeah, you so far, as expected, you approach this game entirely different from me. because I didn't step foot, other than obviously what was required of me. I didn't step foot in the school. I didn't take a single lesson until I was the champion already. Like,
I mean, honestly, I did it just because you were like,
because I told you
do the school stuff, and I was like, apparently AJ said I
should.
get stuff for doing it, so like, sure, I'll get some stuff.
Like I said, I regret not doing it. I probably would. I still wouldn't have done it like straight through. I would have been like paced myself. I'm like, all right, let me do like 2 of these now and 2 of those. But I do wish I did the full thing before I beat the game. I'll say.
I feel like at this point it'll have paced out, because it did let me do like kind of an exorbitant amount at the beginning, as far as like 2 of each. So like 2 biology, 2 maths, 2 home economics, 2, like 5 different things, or like studies or whatever. Let me do 2 of each of those. And so that was kind of a lot to do all at once, but I also figured like, it might as well do them all right now. And then like later, hopefully it'll slow down a bit more and it'll feel less invasive at that point. But I don't know, we'll see at that point. I don't know what the pacing is going to be like from here on out.
Yeah, I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't say, because I already unlocked everything by the time I went to go do them. But I do know that the more unlock as you go. So I would assume that it's like, say you can do up to the midterms now, then you'll unlock more courses until you get to the final, Yeah. So it's like, I don't know if it does it half and half in that way. It doesn't seem like it, because I think I've seen that I've unlocked more classes than just one time. Yeah. And if it was half and half, then the assumption would be that it doesn't only do one unlock, So yeah, either way, there's like, I think it's like 6 or 7 classes that you do per subject. Because there's like 3 and then a midterm and then 3 and then a final.
Gotcha.
I think it's how it works. And there's like 5 or 6 subjects. It's like
there's
history.
5 that I've run into so far, but I mean there could be more, obviously.
I don't. That's just me spitballing. I don't know the exact number. I was trying to think of all the. There's home ec,
biology, math, history, home ec, and one other one that I did.
There's art, and there's battle studies.
Did do battle studies.
And there might be another one, but
at least 6, maybe 100.
So did you not have art?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. So
but it only gave me 3 at the beginning, and then it only gave me 3, and then I did classes 1 and 2 of each of those. Came back a little bit later,
and then you had more. Oh, okay. It had 2 of the other ones, okay. Gotcha.
So might be pacing them out anyway. So yeah, I don't know. I'm so far also still just really liking all of the new Pokemon that I'm finding. I've evolved. I think Lechonk's evolution is like there's a lot of Pokemon. I think. Wait, what?
There's a male and a female one.
Oh, okay. So because I just looked at the Pokedex number, and so I just assumed like, it's.
I think they both have the same name, but they look different.
Like that's the one, yeah. Kind of like what's the 2 lion ones that I'm thinking of? Litleo evolves into Pyroar, and Pyroar, I guess.
Yep.
But just male and female. That makes sense. Okay, so now I want to see. I think I have the female one in that case. Which, speaking of which, last time I was like, maybe I have a female starter. I don't know, and you're like, probably not. It's like an 11% chance. I have a female starter. Turns out. So
you can make an egg.
Yeah. Can they reproduce without a Ditto or another whatever? Just like
as long as it's in the same egg group, yes.
Egg groups. Haven't paid attention to that whatsoever. Okay, cool. Well,
there's no real consistent in-game way for you to do so.
I never got into breeding. Like even in Gen 2, I knew it was there, and then so that's something that I'd be interested in learning a bit more about, at least, and seeing if that's something that's fun at all. But probably
it's a good way to get
not
shinies.
Like. Yeah, that's true. So, we'll see.
I'm trying to see if I can show you my screen.
Oh, maybe so. So I keep being blurry, and I don't know what it's trying to focus on.
I do have a scene for that.
There we go.
Can you see that?
Right. I can only see me.
You can't see me?
No.
Stop sharing.
I forgot to mention that last week.
That's weird.
Unless there's a button I can press that'll
there
allow
might
me to.
Maybe. Anyway.
Yeah,
yes.
nevertheless.
Oink cologne.
You can show everybody else. Go for it.
There's a male and a female. I mean, I'm not showing the stream. That would be. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not showing the podcast. I was just trying to show you. But yeah, I have a shiny one. I have a shiny male oink cologne.
Nice. Oink cologne.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name. Oh, okay. I see the difference. Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely got a female in that case.
Yeah, the shiny is a good shiny because it is very distinct. And like you would think that in the open world video game where you can now see shinies in the overworld, and that's the only way to know if it's a shiny or not, that they would try to like patch some shinies. You know, like
yeah.
I don't necessarily mind the lack of like the like sound and like making it like OD of like there's a shiny over there. Mm-hmm. But it would be like a huge quality of life improvement for people that don't know what shinies look like off the top of their head, and also for the Pokemon that are not at all like Pikachu shiny, where like you'll literally only know if you see a Pikachu right next to that Pikachu, and maybe not even then in the wrong lighting. Honestly, so that you can see from a distance and be like, "Oh, there's a shiny," because that's what happened with this shiny that I got. Like it's a very obvious shiny. So from across the freaking map, I saw that shiny Pokemon. I was like, "Oh!" and I freaking yeeted and I jumped off the cliff and I got it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think definitely, I'm all for the, like you said, the Legends Arceus style of like, just, you know, make a sound, whatever, from across the way. But it's out of curiosity, do we know in this one, like, I think if you have an encounter with a Pokemon and the ones around it kind of like disperse, those instances of those Pokemon still technically are there, right? Like when you kind of come back, they're like around the corner. Into the
because that happened to me with this multiple times. In fact, it was on stream that I did this, where I was like, I saw the shiny, I was like, oh crap, and I freaking ran, and I kept running into other Pokemon. I'm like, yo, what the heck? And then freaking Pokemon ran off of the cliff and fell down the cliff, so I chased it off the cliff, and I still ran into it. Sometimes they can despawn though, because there's certain areas where Pokemon just straight up can't spawn. So like if you're near a Pokemon Center and it runs into the Pokemon Center like radius, it will despawn and it's gone forever. But I think you can save it. So like when you see the shiny, you immediately save it, and I think it will still be there. But I haven't had that experience.
It's not. Trev said it's not like Arceus where the Mon is locked. So. Okay, gotcha. Because I think in Arceus it was like you could literally leave the whole, not the like zone entirely, but you could leave the kind of area, despawn it, you know, by a bit, and then come back, and it was still there, I think. But as long as, like, I think the instance of that like zone that you were in. Okay, cool. Yeah, correct. In Arceus, if you didn't leave the zone, the shiny was still there. But yeah, in this one, it's like, I mean, it's a whole world all at once, so I can totally understand how it can't keep track of, you know, every single Pokemon in the whole open world. But yeah, I don't know. So I would love to run into a shiny at all.
You'll do it. It seems like shiny odds are very good in this game.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't be surprised if like not in terms of like the numbers, but just like how the math works out, because there's more Pokemon in this game. And I don't mean like more Pokemon in terms of like Pokedex number more. I mean like more that spawn on the screen than Arceus, that people have ran into shinies way sooner. Like way sooner. Like people were running the shinies, as far as I know. Like I knew people I can name within the first like 24 hours of the game existing. That didn't happen with Arceus. But
I mean, even that happened, I feel like, with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, just because
Yeah.
same kind of thing. It's just like
Right.
you see all the Pokemon at once. They're just there. If you don't want a certain Pokemon, you don't have to run into it. So you just end up noticing so many more Pokemon that, like, you know, that just happens.
Yep.
And exploring is just such a big part of it. So, like,
It's true. So you'll probably run into a shiny eventually, if not multiple. Like
Nice.
I've definitely averaged like at least a shiny every other day, and I'm not even specifically looking for them. So it's like they're pretty good odds.
Yeah.
But is that all we got for the playthrough right now? Because still haven't talked about the Charizard and stuff. Okay.
True. The one big change I'd say between how I'm playing this and how I played Sword and Shield was, I think for that, like, I was kind of overwhelmed by, even though the dex was smaller than it had been in the past, I was mostly just trying to, I think, catch like brand new Pokemon, and so wasn't catching like everything. Whereas now, this time, I'm just taking my time and catching and just trying to like fill out the Pokedex more or less. Like, I don't know that that's my ultimate goal, but probably, like, I think I'll probably end up doing that. And I think that's been a much more enjoyable way of playing it, for one thing. Because partly, especially because I was like, had been out of the loop for so long with Sword and Shield, there were a lot of Pokemon where I'd see it and be like, I think this
Just
is
everything was
Gen
new.
8 one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be like, no, that was Gen 5, and you just like have never run into it before. So there were a couple of those. Honestly, there was one I had a Spupa on my team here for a little bit, just because I was like, oh, I'll try to evolve it, thinking it was a brand new Pokemon, and then it evolved into a Vivillon. I was like, oh, I know Vivillon. I've just never
had a
ran into a Spupa before.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's probably going to be a decent amount of that kind of thing where there's just some that have still passed me by because, like, who cares about Spupa, probably. But
I kind of had like a version of that experience because Pokemon that didn't evolve before evolve now. So I'm like, is this what? Because I didn't look, so I didn't know which ones, other than the ones that they like Girafarig. You know,
right? Totally.
I'm like, yo, does this evolve into something? And then like, because we saw Great Tusk, I was like, Dawn fan, do you evolve? Like that sort of thing. So like, yeah, I was playing the game like that too, of like, I'm gonna catch this, and like, but not like, is this a new Pokemon? It's like, does this turn into a new Pokemon?
Totally. Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
But yeah, I did that too, in terms of like, everything I saw I caught, and that's part of how I finished the Pokedex so fast. Like, me and Trev both finished the Pokedex at the same time because we touch traded for like the last final stretch. But I was like 100 Pokemon at least ahead of everybody for a really long time because I was just catching everything.
Yeah. No, and I'll probably end up doing, like, the last time, I think I probably only actually traded, again, last time being Sword and Shield, I probably only traded for like 2 Pokemon, more or less, and, you know, wasn't anywhere close to finishing the decks. Whereas I think this time I'll probably see where I can do some touch trades, that kind of stuff, once I get to it, because it's just fun, you know?
And then you can get the shiny charm, and then you'll see even more shinies because your shiny rates will double.
That's right. So speaking of shinies, tell me more about this Charizard level 7.
This level 7 Charizard cannot be shiny. It's impossible. It's locked so that it can't be shiny. But it's a really good Charizard. It's level 100, and it has 6 IVs as far as I can tell, which my evidence is limited because I've only done one, and it's only been with a group of the same people that all have the same Charizard, because that's how rates work. But as far as I can tell, they're guaranteed 6 IV, which is pretty neat. They're level 100 and they're guaranteed 6 IV. The other information I don't have is if there's like other movesets for this thing, because like I was talking to Lee, and also like with the Mewtwo raid, like that, which he was talking about, the different Mewtwo's had different movesets. So the one that we caught was a special attacker. But Charizard, as a Pokemon, statistically, is more of like a mixed attacker. Like he can double down on either stat and be fine. You can teach him all special stuff or all physical stuff. If there is a physical Charizard, then that Charizard probably knows Metal Claw, probably knows freaking Flare Blitz, you know, stuff like that.
when you say a 6 IV Charizard, you mean perfect IVs?
Yeah,
there's
six
only 6
perfect
versions,
IVs.
right? Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Nice. And the things that then change whether it's a special attacker or physical attacker or whatever is just ability, or I mean, what's the other thing? Not ability. Yeah, right? Nature. Is its nature? Or just the move choice that it has?
The IV is the key.
Like if it has perfect IVs,
Yeah.
then...
Oh yeah, that's the characteristics. Your nature
Gotcha.
is what your nature is like what your stats are invested in. So like every Pokemon can either have neutral stats or they can have a stat that they're bad in and one that they're good in. So a Jolly Nature Pokemon has like bad special attack, but good speed, you know, or Adamant is like bad attack, physical attack, good special attack. That's separate though. I don't even remember what this Charizard is. I can look.
That's nice. Rise said it's modest.
That would make sense.
Bashful even.
Because I'm crying.
It's just one of the 7 dwarves.
Is Modest a dwarf?
No, but Bashful is, I think, isn't it?
Hey man, you would know better than me. Yeah, it is Modest.
I'm looking at Bashful Dwarf, and I'm glad that is correct, because otherwise that just seems like a weird thing to look up. But yeah, it's one of the dwarves.
That's the Charizard.
Nice.
If they don't have a physical variant, the Charizard is free if you use, well, not free because he cheats. If you use Darkspun, because it's stupid. So he's going to attack you with fire and dragon type attacks until he momentarily realizes that's a bad idea. You're a fairy Pokemon, so you won't get hurt by dragon type attacks. Also, you have an ability called Half Baked Body, which gives you a defense boost and takes away the damage from the fire type attack.
What Pokemon are you saying?
Darkspun.
Darkspun.
Yeah, it's spoilers.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Never mind.
Yeah,
I was spelling it super wrong, which is why I wasn't able to find it. But yeah, I've noticed. I saw charts of this versus Azurill, and
because that's half of the community was like, the way to go is Azurill, and it's not because it still gets hurt by freaking fire type attacks, and it can be burned, and also you need to set up Azurill. I mean, Azumarill, not Azurill, but yeah.
Right, yeah.
The wrong half.
Nice, yeah. As far as patch things, also, I guess an interesting side of it is just the whole, like, you know, Pokemon mentioning that. Let me see if I can find the exact quote. It might not be in this article, so. Oh yeah, we are aware that players may encounter issues that affect the game's performance. Our goal is to always give players a positive experience with their games. We apologize for the inconvenience. We take the feedback from players seriously and are working on improvements to the games. I mean, very just, you know, PR speak kind of thing, but also, like, you know, nice for them to say we're listening to feedback and blah 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 blah. Like,
it just makes people feel better about the thing that I guarantee they were already gonna do. Because
100%.
Because people are acting like this game wasn't going to get patched and they're just going to release the game and leave the game as is. When Sword and Shield got patched, Pokemon Let's Go got patched, freaking Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl got patched. Every game on the Nintendo Switch system that Pokemon Company is associated with has gotten a patch. So this one was going to be patched. It's just dumb. People are stupid.
Do we know if they patched the competitive I don't remember what it's called, but the fact there was just like one seed,
I don't know if they patched that issue specifically. I don't know if I mentioned that before we started the podcast or during the podcast, but this literally came out a few hours ago, like 3 hours ago, and I only did raids and I did a picnic. So that I can get some eggs with my Quaxley, trying to get a shiny Quaxley. So I don't know. And then also, like, I'm not a performance stickler. I'm not paying attention to that at all.
Right.
Unless it's like something obvious, like my game crashing, which my game has not done in like over a week. So like I haven't really noticed anything. Anecdotally, Alex said that boosting with Miraidon is smoother, and Trav seemed to corroborate that. So that's a fix that they did, apparently. But I don't know. I haven't noticed. I haven't played it enough post patch to be able to tell you. The only like I said, the only technical things that stuck out to me is the crashing, which I haven't had anyway in a long time. And there's this weird lighting bug that happens sometimes, which I haven't experienced that in like over a week either. So I don't know.
Yep.
The box
I'll be interested
load speed
to
is still
see...
slow. That's true. What were you saying? When you open your Pokemon boxes, it takes forever for the Pokemon to populate in the box.
That's true. Yeah, I've noticed that for sure. Yeah. I'll be curious to see with I think it's just funny because the RNG seed thing is, so I guess anybody who doesn't know, just something to the effect of like in PvP battles, there's like the RNG is like normally it's supposed to be random to some degree. And right now there's like some predictable elements where like if you use a move that's less than 90% accurate on your first turn, it's guaranteed to fail every time or something like that. And then also people are able to predictably set up moves that are supposed to be like 30% chance to hit, like one hit KO moves. If you do a quick attack first, then you do this other move, then whatever. Certain things that basically supposed to be random up to chance, because there's just one RNG seed, which I don't, they're just all like able to be predicted to some degree now, which is just funny because to me, I don't understand how programming works. And I just feel like, I don't know, make some numbers, like make some dice rolls in the background. And so it feels like one of those things that should be just so easy to fix. And I'm sure it's not, but it's just funny how other things that probably seem harder to fix are easier to fix. And then this one isn't, because otherwise if it were easier to fix, then probably just wouldn't be like that in the first place, I'd guess. And they're gonna fix it,
or
for
it
sure.
could
Like,
just be super easy to fix and they just didn't
know about
it. Was
also possible. Yeah. So Trev said, yeah, randomness is hard for computers, so they use seeds, and all that battles in that one area are starting from one seed, which means it always has the same results. Well said. So yeah, curious when they change that or whatever. But in the meantime, like, I guess don't try to do competitive battles maybe for a minute, because people are going to be toxic and abuse it.
Of course. Yeah. Which is also interesting because the first season for VGC is starting on the 2nd. So I don't know if they're going to patch it again or if they already patched that issue. I don't know. I didn't try it yet, so couldn't say.
But speaking of competitive Nintendo stuff,
it's true.
Panda, something
boy. I didn't add the freaking thing. Oh well, it's other news.
Okay, cool, nice. That'll work. I don't know anything about this, so you fill me in on all the gaps, and we'll go from there.
Yep. So, you want to look at the article first, and we go from there, or
whatever makes about this. I pulled an article just to have one, but if you want to just.
Okay, so the TLDR on this situation is, as we've talked about before, there are 2 competitive Smash Brothers circuits that happened throughout this year and last year in the Smash World Tour's case. One is officially licensed, being the Panda Cup. The other is not officially licensed, but is run by a very seasoned org. Or not org, they're more of like they're a company. They're a company that like runs most Smash events. They stream most Smash events and they run their own tournaments, being there's an Apex series, there's Pound, and then they help with other stuff and do invitationals and whatnot. Panda is the company that runs the Panda Cup. It's called the Panda Cup, which they're a Smash org, like they're a competitive like TSM sort of like phase. If you know anything about like esports, they're an esports team that like recruits players and content creators and pays them to compete, and in exchange they get to sponsor. I mean, they get to like sell ad space on their content and wear on their jerseys and all that stuff. So the situation happened when Smash World Tour was being a thing last year. Video Game Bootcamp VGBC was in talks with Nintendo to ensure that, one, they would be fine to do this this circuit with this huge prize pool, being that Nintendo is like historically against that sort of thing. Because like even for their tournaments, they don't have prize pools. In Japan, when there's Smash Brothers tournaments, they don't have prize pools. They like give away controllers and rice and stuff like that. Because I don't know, culturally they're just against competition for money.
And the World Tour one, video games. That's the one that was like had multiple events in multiple locations, right? That we looked at. Which I mean, both of them have multiple events, but Panda Cup is specifically for North America, and the World Tour is worldwide. Okay, makes sense.
There was like events in like Qatar. So yeah, it was like literally worldwide. So they were having negotiations for them to this year potentially be licensed, because last year they weren't and this year they weren't. Apparently those communications stopped at some point. All the while you had the Panda Cup that was happening. They were like in the loop of that while that was being developed, and the CEO of Panda was like making things difficult on them, because for like they're all like both of them, Panda and VGBC, are like courting tournaments and saying, yo, we're going to throw this circuit next year, you want to be a part of it? And VGBC, when they would talk to a lot of these tournament organizers, they would be told that it's like, well, I talked to Panda and they said that like if I wanted to be in their tournament, that I can't, I mean, in their circuit, I can't be in your circuit. And I already signed on to theirs or whatever. And like, also on top of that, their CEO, Alan, who is a doctor. I don't know if that matters.
Interesting.
But he was like going around to different tournament organizers and basically threatening them, like, if you're a part of the Smash World Tour, your tournament's going to get shut down, dude. They're not licensed and we're licensed, so you want to join up because we got Nintendo, and you know, like, don't you want Nintendo? And like a lot of them didn't sign on because of that, like because he's like trying to strong arm them. And it, like all the while, it's like Nintendo is like very bureaucratic. So VGBC is like trying to get the license, and it turns out that they ended up not being able to get the license. And then at first they were under the impression that it didn't really matter if they had the license, in terms of like Nintendo wouldn't pursue them legally, because they only, according to them, they only usually pursue tournaments and try to shut them down as like a modding or piracy concern, stuff like Project M, or like the Slippy stuff where like people emulating Melee to play that, or modding it so that it, like Pokemon Stadium freezes, or like universal controlling mods and stuff like that. So they were like, you're clear, you're good, until they weren't. On Thanksgiving, apparently, they sent VGBC,
they being Nintendo or Panda?
Nintendo.
Okay.
Sent them a cease and desist asterisk, because Nintendo says they did not cease and desist them. So I don't know. I'm still waiting on the receipts to know for sure who is in the wrong here. The only thing that I am pretty sure is like the party that is definitely in the wrong is Panda. There's no way they're not. Right. You know, like there might be some sort of like miscommunication here, and they might not be completely malicious, but either way, they messed up. They're doing harm for sure. What we need more information on is how much of this is true on Nintendo and VGBC side. Like, did Nintendo actually cease and desist them? Because if they did, that's not great. And also, if they did they cease and desist them because like on their own free will, like because that's what they wanted to do, they didn't want a competing circuit, or was it because of a miscommunication with information that they're getting from Panda?
Right.
Because they said that they didn't specifically tell them that they canceled it, and then VGBC came back and they said you did cancel it, and here's our receipts. And they said that Nintendo shut it down for health and safety regulations, which I don't know if that is like a thing about. Like part of their licensing is that the party that is licensing their property needs to adhere to certain rules, and they didn't want to do that, so they didn't give them the license because of that. Or if it was like they already caught wind of like them not adhering to these guidelines or whatever. I don't know all the details in that regard, but we do know that that's one thing that they said. Still waiting on an update from Nintendo and Panda, who have said nothing other than Nintendo providing a statement to Kotaku, re this. But Panda has said nothing. Like they have not tweeted. They usually post videos every day. They didn't do that. So like they're trying to, they're scrambling, man. They're trying to figure it out.
I mean, so like just for some quotes backing up exactly what you said. So from the article here, it says LD, I don't know who LD is.
He's the founder of another competitive org that like does like Smash stuff, but also like Rocket League stuff and freaking Counter-Strike. They're called Beyond the Summit. He's the like CEO of that.
Gotcha. So LD from Beyond the Summit, has also revealed Alan Bunny from Panda Global, another tournament organizer, sent messages to other tournament organizers, hinting this would happen if they didn't participate in the upcoming Nintendo licensed Panda Cup, in quotes. Alan spent several months basically running a protection racket, telling tournament organizers, including behind the scenes, it'd be a shame if your event ever got shut down for being unlicensed, in an effort to scare them into signing on to the cup, they said, and more stuff like that. That's messed up.
Not great. It's not great. And this sucks. Like the only way that it sucks because the community is going to make it worse. They're going to make it worse because like their instinct is always to dogpile on Nintendo no matter what. So like even if Nintendo isn't like actually actively at fault, because again, like as far as I can gather, they're having a mostly hands-off approach. Like they're helping them with production and they have the final say so for things like commentators that are part of the tournaments and stuff. But as far as I know, that's the extent of their involvement. So it wouldn't surprise me if Nintendo isn't privy to all of these details and all of the goings on here. And plus, on top of that, it's a global company that like is run in a very like archaic way where everything is run through the Japanese branch of the company, and the American branch of the company has a very different outlook on things than the Japanese one, where like the American side of the company, and I mean there's differences here too, where like we know like Kit, who used to work in Nintendo, he was more against the competitive scene in terms of like he didn't really understand it and like that sort of thing. He did help with like the Evo thing for what it's worth, like back in 2013 or whatever, when Nintendo was trying to shut down Smash Melee Evo. But yeah, there's people obviously even at Nintendo of America that are like, nah, we don't like this Smash tournament stuff. And also, you know, like the scene, because a lot of the scene are cursed and a lot of varying ways. So it's like it's a complicated situation, and I think that like the sentiment being assuming the best the best possible read on every party involved, right? if I'm Nintendo and I don't actively have anything negative to do with this, and I see the sentiment being F Nintendo, I'm like, all right, bet. Well, I'm just not going to get involved with this, because even when I'm not hands-on and doing stuff, I get bad PR anyway. So let's just shut it all down. Something messed up on the technical end, but we didn't lose the podcast. We're still here. We're talking about the Smash World Tour. I was talking about if I was Nintendo and the community was being cringe to me, I would say F y'all and never work with the Smash community again. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Ideally, all this gets solved as amicably as possible, so that I specifically, me and me alone, will still have Super Smash Brothers Ultimate competitive to watch and participate
That's
in.
right. You know, and like you'd think in the video game industry as a whole, if gamers can like end up forgiving Activision, who's like actively garbage, and like Bobby Kotick and all that stuff, because, you know, like, oh, well, they're being bought out and he'll be gone eventually anyway, even though he's not yet. You'd imagine that some of this stuff, like, I mean, I suspect this seems like on a lower tier of bad.
Yes, definitely. This to me reads as somebody that is not a businessman getting power and not knowing how to deal with it in a way that is good, you know? Like, he's like, oh, Nintendo never works with us. This is new ground. We can save this. We can make this a big thing and, like, you know, make it a major esport. So I'm going to, like, do my darndest to make this as big of a deal as possible. And he did crappy things to try to ensure that happening. So I think that this is incompetence, not like evil, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
And a like corporate multi-billionaire kind of way that we're used to in the gaming industry. Like, freaking, if
so we'll see.
If Alan gets ousted from Panda, he's not getting a $1 billion parachute. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, not that I don't know anything about Panda, but I'm sure. I wonder if they've ever made $1 billion total.
Definitely not.
I
mean, they're like a decent, like, they're definitely like a multi-million-dollar operation for sure.
For sure.
But they're not a $1 billion company.
Yeah. Right. So there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, but you know what is a $1 billion company? Mario. Just
Mario.
He's a company.
That's true.
I mean, kind of.
If we're talking about revenue, he could definitely account for a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, and on maybe even the Mario movie specifically will be $1 billion something. You know, we maybe have a better idea of that now that we've had the second trailer.
It's true. What are your thoughts about the trailer?
I need to watch it again. I only watched it briefly once yesterday. I'm liking it. I'm really enjoying all the like referential things, and like I think it's just gonna be a fun, good movie. The Mario Kart stuff at the end was real fun. I'm gonna put it on in the background here for me to watch. And I mean, still same thoughts on voice acting things. I think it's all gonna be stuff that we'll get used to it. It's not as great as it could be by any means, but it'll be fine. You know, like worst case scenario is some of the characters, Mario specifically, are like, all right, aggressively mid, but otherwise, I mean, like visually it looks great. I think Donkey Kong is an interesting decision. We'll talk more about that in a second, but yeah, just it's gonna be a really fun time and I'm excited for it.
It's true. I still feel exactly the same that I did before. I think that Chris Pratt did meh. I think everybody else except for I don't know how I feel about Peach. I don't hate Peach.
Same, yeah,
I don't hate Peach, but I don't think I like Peach.
I know it feels very like, I mean, again, yeah, similar to Mario. It just feels kind of generally like this is a girl kind of a thing, as opposed to like feeling Princess Peach, you know?
Can you move over stage right, like to
yeah? Is that the right direction?
Right
okay,
there.
Cool.
All right, what were you saying?
Yeah, just that like Peach feels just generally like just a girl, as opposed to feeling like a character. And I'm hopeful. Hopeful is the wrong thing. Maybe it's something. That in the movie, when all the like Chris Pratt noises of like Mario falling and stuff like that, and like whoa, those kinds of things, those sound effects felt so dull in him saying them. Where it's like
everything like, I've heard from him, he is for what it's worth with Peach, right? My complaint with Peach isn't the same as my complaint with Mario, where Mario sounds like it is Chris Pratt trying to act like Mario. Peach just doesn't give me Peach vibes, and that's literally it.
Yeah, exactly. Same.
But like it feels like Chris Pratt actively is doing a bad job.
Yeah.
Whereas
like
the Peach
it feels like phoning it in to the to the nth degree, which is like maybe he is. I don't know, but it just seems weird that they wouldn't direct him more, like just because he's this big Hollywood star or whatever, like feels like they still could push him to do better.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Because I mean, especially having watched him in Parks and Rec and stuff like that in the past, like he has the acting chops if he needs them to be able to do better. So maybe we've seen bad stuff from these trailers, maybe it's not a great representation, whatever, or legitimately he's just phoning it in and they didn't care enough to get him to do better. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about him to say one way or another in the acting regard. I just know him as Star-Lord. And like, I mean, for what it's worth, this Mario is worse than that. So
yeah,
he could at least be Star-Lord.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah. But
I think the movie's going to be good though.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really good. It's gonna be a fun time. I think the Donkey Kong decision, like I kind of hinted at, is interesting because he's very much like, this is not Donkey Kong Country Donkey Kong. Right. I mean, a little, it kind of is, but it's definitely more.
It's like a hybrid.
Yeah.
I saw people complaining about that, and I think that's stupid. Well, I think that all right, there's something weird about this whole thing in the first place because like they called it. I tweeted this. They called specific attention to this redesign, but everybody except for like Toad and Kamek got redesigned on some level, so for them to like specifically be like DK got a redesign, he's kind of more like the original DK. I'm like, does this mean something? Are we going to see more from this? Because I mean, honestly, I like this design better. I think the other DK design looks stupid, which I mean plays to like how he's used a lot, I guess. But this Donkey Kong just looks more versatile, where he doesn't always have to be like played for the idiot, which is good, I think.
Yeah.
I think that the proportions of his eyes specifically, that alone makes this character design better, because Donkey Kong, the Donkey Kong Country Donkey Kong, he has like Looney Tunes, like bazooka eye vibes. Like his eyes are kind of like bulging out of his face. Yeah. And a lot of that is because they're too big, and that makes them too close together, and it just looks stupid. But the proportions of this Donkey Kong design's eyes look better to me. So I hope they keep it. But I kind of doubt they will. Yeah. I think this might be a Knuckles and Sonic Boom kind of situation. Where he just looks like that in Sonic Boom, and then they never do that again. Yeah.
It is funny though, because like I'm looking at the old and new designs side by side, and it's hard for me. No. I can tell what's different. I think like, the eyes for sure. The brow isn't like specifically as furrowed by default in the design, but also I think maybe it's just his positioning of his shoulders, but it seems like his shoulders are taller instead of kind of like lower and his head's higher. I don't know, something like that, but definitely it gives more gorilla-y vibes just by a little bit, as opposed to less like man, something. But you know what? Here we are.
I like it.
We'll see how it turns out. I like it too. Yeah, it's fun, and kind of along the same lines too. There was if I can find the article, Nintendo Pictures had like a pretty sure they were hiring and stuff like that, which like I mean kind of obviously, but I didn't look at what the things they were hiring for were, and I wonder if there's anything interesting out of that. Nintendo now hiring for planning and production of animated videos. It says here, Nintendo Pictures, a Nintendo group company, plans and produces videos using Nintendo IP. Currently, we are hiring careers for various occupations relating to the planning and production of animation videos. If you're interested in creating videos that can be enjoyed by customers all around the world, please apply. Okay, that's not that interesting. But still, good that they're doing more things. Mm-hmm. And I'm just excited to see what the future of all this is. Because this is, like, I'm glad they're starting out on the right foot. And that, like, the first big foray into, you know, animation stuff is going to be a blockbuster hit. Like, even in a world where it's not as big as Sonic or Detective Pikachu, which it will be, but even in a world where that aren't the case, it's still gonna, like, you know, be able to launch other things, which is nice.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it's not. I don't know for sure if right off it will have to be good. If it's good, it will surpass every other video game movie. But if it's just fine or bad, it will still do fine. You know, like, I would be surprised if this is like anything under a like $400 million movie. You know, like, it's going to do that at least. But I think if it's good, it does have potential to be like billion plus. And I'm hoping it's good, because that means more stuff for us.
I mean, granted, it's Illumination, which, like, I think that gets crapped on sometimes because, like, oh, it's Illumination. But if you look at their track record, as far as just like general populace goes, highest grossing animated films, I'm pretty sure, like, we've looked at this before, but Minions, Despicable Me 3, Despicable Me 2, Minions: The Rise of Gru, Secret Life of Pets. Like, these are all plus or minus $1 billion movies that are all, like, that's within the top 20 animated movies of all time. And those movies are not that old, you know, like, those are all pretty recent outings of theirs and are still, you know.
And they
like
didn't have Mario.
Right, exactly.
So it would be, I think it would be pretty hard for them to,
if they do it right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, be hard for them to mess this up. And it doesn't seem like they're going to mess it up. I think the only bad decision that I've seen is Chris Pratt. That's literally it.
Yeah, which, I mean, you know, bad in a movie quality for gamers who want something that's, you know, more authentic to who the character is.
I don't even necessarily want that. I just want it to be.
I mean,
yeah, I just want it to be done better than It's a Me, Mario. Wahoo!
Mario.
I want a little bit more than that.
Yeah. No, I definitely agreed. I think the thing though is, like, I wonder what the over-under is in terms of, like, is there somebody that, like, you know, say he gave it his best shot and this is as good as he could do. Is there somebody that could have done better and will net them more money? Or because it's Chris Pratt, like, and just the, you know, like, your grandma and that kind of a person or whatever who just, like, recognizes Hollywood stars or something, whatever. You know, I'm sure that's a calculation they have on their ends that they're aware of, and I just don't know. But I am curious if that's something that was taken into consideration, where it's like, he could be medium and or even kind of bad and still would make us more money than, you know, somebody who does a way better job but isn't
as big of a name or whatever.
Yeah. If they could have made The Rock work,
oh my god,
then they would have. The Rock.
Yeah. You know, The
like,
Rock probably would have been worse, funnily, you know. Because The Rock is like another one of the, like, it's like Kevin Hart, where it's like, you're not playing the character that you're named, you're playing you.
You're just playing The Rock.
Yeah, like. Yeah.
I'm surprised Ryan Reynolds did as well with Detective Pikachu as he did. I mean, thankfully, I think, because, like, he just plays Ryan. But then again, Ryan Reynolds is just pretty lovable. So, like, you know. Yeah, it works.
But also, like, he's also like a generic Pikachu, you know?
Yes.
Like, he wasn't playing Ash's Pikachu, so you're not like, trying to like fit
That's a
that
good point.
Pikachu into like the character that he's playing on screen. It's just like, all right, this is just a whatever Pikachu, and it could sound like whatever, like there's Pikachus with different voices than the like the classic one that we hear all the time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
If you smell what the Jumpman is cooking, that's a fact. That's a fact.
We watched Black Adam.
I saw
week. That. It was pretty good. Yeah, it was just a fun time. As far as DC movies goes, like
fine. It was fine. We could talk about that on the Patreon podcast.
We can
whenever we do that.
Also that.
That's a fact. But we'll do it eventually.
We will. It's true. Also saw Black Panther, and we will be talking about that.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk about that. So, plug. Link in the description.
Yeah.
Is this it for the Mario movie? We got any other Mario movie thoughts?
I think so. Nope. I'm excited to. I guess it's funny to me that while games now all release just on the same day everywhere, more often than not, movies still have this weird staggered release thing across the world. Like it used to be a lot worse than it is now, where I remember when we were in France, we would get movies like 6 months later than they came out in the States, which I don't know why, but like translations, maybe something like that, probably. But now like we found out when when the Mario movie's coming out in different regions, and the US, Japan is last by a couple weeks, I think. And the US is second to last, and then everywhere else is like 2 to 3 weeks, or it's like 3 weeks leading up to.
That's kind of coming out. I'm kind of surprised by that. I would have thought that we would have got it first, honestly.
Same. I mean, I wonder if they're intentionally leaving the biggest markets last. So that
where's China at in this? Is China getting this movie?
Oh, that's true. Can I find? I didn't send myself the link to that release schedule thingy. I find it.
I don't know, man. But something tells me that that's like a word of mouth thing. It's kind of like a little bit of like how Pokemania happened, where like the way they marketed Pokemon here was by saying how big of a deal it already was somewhere else. So like them being able to be like, these countries love this movie, check it out,
right?
Generally, I don't know what the deal is with this, because you would think that the countries that they would want to tell all the other countries, these countries love this movie, is Japan and here. But like for most movies, it seems like that's their reasoning, where it's like, well, we need to be able to use other markets to market to other markets, and if we release them all at the same time, it's like this democratized thing of like, if the market likes it of their own accord, they'll go see it. And we can't really do the thing of like, hey man, we already sent the canary in the coal mine and they came out on the other side all right, so you can go in too,
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if it's also to, in the same way that God of War came out on a Wednesday, potentially, so that the first week sales could be the biggest numbers of the franchise. I wonder if it's something to where like, then by the time it comes out in the US, like it can like box office record,
it's already a $1 billion movie. Go check it out.
Like, yeah, it can like break records, because other places might need to kind of like build up to its successor. I don't know, but like maybe something along those lines. So yeah, I just found the dates. So Belgium represent. Belgium's getting it March 22nd. They're first.
You gotta go.
So my parents are gonna go watch it first. Actually, honestly, they probably will. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they
gotta get them to go, and then bring like a freaking like spy cam, so they can live stream it to you.
For what it's worth. We are planning on going back at some point.
Well, there
in
you
the
go.
spring.
You can go see the Mario movie.
I was probably going to go more like in April, but like I could just go end of March. So, and then I run. They've been going to Italy a lot. There's a little town there that they're going to.
How's Italy not getting this movie first? That's crazy.
That's they're not getting it till the day before the US is on April 6th.
That's
so
nuts.
all that said,
I'd be tight if I was the first Mario to ever be named. I'd be upset. I'm like, yo, y'all stole my name and I can't even see this movie first.
Yeah, they're just all gonna have to get a Belgian to watch it. So I think we're gonna probably I'm gonna take not 2 full weeks off, but try to work remotely some. But we'll be in Belgium for a week and then Italy for a week, so I can go be in watch the Mario movie maybe in Italy, which
we can watch it with Mario himself, who lives in Brooklyn. So he's gonna fly out with you.
That's right. What a silly time. Also, man, it's been it's been a long time since I've been back home, so it'll be nice to go there, and all that stuff. Trev said Mario Lopez lives in LA for sure. There's a Hallmark movie that Mario Lopez starred in that came out recently that was filmed in my wife's hometown in Columbia, Tennessee, an hour away, and so they did it just came out last week or something like that, and they had a big screening of it and stuff there, which I just thought was really funny. I haven't seen it. I have no intentions to, but they were just oh, that's the place on the square where we know things. But it was filmed in their town, and that was fun.
Nice.
That's the end of all those words. Yeah, all that say comes out in Belgium March 22nd. That's the first one, and then Japan April 27th, a whole month and a bit later, which is so weird that it's so spread out.
Super weird.
And I
wonder where they're having the premiere. Where are they premiering?
That is a great question. I don't know.
They gotta do a freaking LA Tokyo thing,
I would imagine so. And also this just says this is the select list of confirmed release dates, so I'm sure it'll be in some countries outside of this, but I really am, now that you've mentioned China, I'm really curious about that, because that is a pretty big deal for movie sales and box office numbers and stuff. Is is it in China or not? Because if so, then get a bunch more tickets or something.
True. I'll see it.
Me too.
I'll probably see it. It's freaking that Saturday or Sunday with my brother and my sister-in-law. Every other movie, basically.
But you can't play movies, but you can play games, and we're playing games such as following ones.
I'm just playing Pokemon. I played So okay, this is the thing. I was playing Smash Brothers, right? And I was freaking tight. I was upset because my timing is gone. My brain is yo, do this thing, parry that, tech, all that stuff out the window. Parry's less so. I'm still a parry god. I still know how to parry. But my attacks, I'd be missing all types of tech. I'd be hitting the ground so much. I never hit the ground when I play this game and I'm warm. But now I'm not. And now it's
is it just from the couple of weeks of just not playing it a whole lot?
Of not playing any Smash Brothers at all. just not having any muscle memory for I gotta attack here. It's all in the brain now. That's how I'm playing. I'm I need to do this thing because they're here and I'm there. But all the stuff that is mechanical, I got hit. I need to hit this button before I touch this area. That's gone. And it will be gone for the foreseeable future because A, still having a lot of fun with Pokemon. Still don't really want to play anything else. And B, I don't really have that much incentive to play Smash because the freaking future of the scene is in jeopardy. So it's why practice to get better at the game when there's no reason to get better at the game now? Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. That's honestly, that makes me thankful. I'm always a little bit regretful that I'm not a more technically proficient musician than I am. I'm pretty good at several instruments that I play, but for the amount of time that I've played them and stuff, I could be way more technically proficient, and I'm just not. But it makes me kind of thankful that I'm not, because then it's I don't have a whole lot to forget, because most of it just is in my brain, and my fingers aren't a lot faster than my brain and never have been. So Cool. Then at least I stay stagnant consistently, and I don't have anything that I've now, like, you know, missed out on because of that. So, you know, the highs aren't as high, which, you know, is a thing in and of itself. But
it's just bad, at least where I'm at. Because the thing is,
that's no
like, I'm still playing good enough that I could beat most people. I could still beat most people that I could beat before without thinking much. I can still beat those people. It's when I'm playing against people that are like on my level or better than me that it's hard.
Right.
Because they're the ones that are going to punish me for if I miss a tech. And they're the ones that are going to realize, oh, he's never teching at all. So I am going to abuse this. So it's like I have two real options. It's either be way better than them in the moments that I'm hitting them, or just get back to being able to consistently tech, because then I have like right now, if my reaction time is like where it's at right now, and my consistency with teching and stuff, I have to make my openings as big as possible, because when they get an opening, they get a lot off of it. But if I can freaking tech like I usually do, then it won't matter, and I can just use my brain more. But we'll see.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And like, I'm still gonna, like, I do like playing Smash. Like Rye said, he's still gonna play. I'm still gonna play it, but like, I just don't care to play it as much as I used to, where I wanted to be better at the video game, because it's fun to participate in the scene. But now playing it for fun is like whatever, and I don't have to like play it to get better if I'm playing to have fun, because the people that I play to have fun with, I don't have to be that good to like have fun, you know. Like I'm still hanging. I could like not play Smash for a year, and the people that I usually play with, I'll still be able to do well enough to have fun. But it's when I'm playing against people that like challenge me even when I am hot, you know. That I'm trying to like keep up with when they're still playing the game and I'm just playing Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. But you're playing Pokemon a bunch, and anything new with that at this point? Like right now, is it mostly shiny grind? Is it mostly like, what's taking up most of your time in Pokemon?
I'm doing a little bit of everything right now. What I want to do, like my primary like guiding star is I want to make a team to do VGC stuff. Nice. So I'm like working on that. I'm like playing Pokemon Showdown to like toy around with different strats, because like I kind of want to use my water starter, but like in my testing, I'm like, it doesn't really gel with the other ideas that I have, because he ends up just not really doing much in the grand scheme of things, like versus what everybody else does. So I'm like trying to slot different Pokemon in, and now I'm like, what did this one works? Because like I don't want to have to do that in the video game and like spend all this time. Granted, it's not that much time compared to what it usually takes, where you got to breed for that. I could just use mints, and I got mads of mints because of raids and stuff like that. But I still need money so that I can buy vitamins so that I can EV train. In an easier way than freaking doing it the traditional way, where you give them different braces and all that stuff. I'm not doing that. I just going to spend a lot of money and get vitamins.
Nice.
Got to take Tatsugiri plus Toxicor plus Dondozo plus Flamigo. Yeah, that's I messed around with that. Flamigo for me, for my team, not really worth. But I do think I landed on something that is going to work. Hold on, wait. Let me tell you what it is. Hold on. I gotta freaking go to the page. Team building. I have. Oh,
I don't know what any of those are except for Flamigo.
I still do have. I have Flamigo, Sableye, Pelipper, Tatsugiri, and Dondozo. Dondozo and Palafin. So like I wanted to have Palafin. I don't know if you know who Palafin is. You probably don't.
Yet. I'm guessing it's Donphan related.
No, I mean, absolutely not. But it's good that you don't. But I didn't want to. I wanted to have Palafin originally, but I wanted to have Palafin, Dondozo, Tatsugiri, and Quackable. But Quackable is too much. It's too much. It's too much stuff going on, because they all kind of want the same thing. So I'm not really able to pay attention to all of them. but yeah, it's
and
like
the meta's still consistently double battles always.
yes,
right.
That's VGC.
Okay.
But the thing about the Flamigo strat is like in my experience being it. So the Tatsugiri and Dondozo, they're like they have like a symbiotic relationship where like if they're both on the field at the same time, Dondozo gets a stat boost to all of its stats, or like all the ones that matter, and you can't hit Tatsugiri. The strat that Trevor's talking about, basically it forces the Tatsugiri to die because you can't switch out either of the Pokemon when they're both on the field. But if you kill Tatsugiri, you still have the Dondozo boost, and then you can switch into Flamigo, who has a special or a hidden ability that copies its teammates' stat boosts. So it will get the Dondozo like doubled stats for all the things. But in my experience, Tatsugiri takes too long to die. So it doesn't consistently work. It's worked a few times, but more often than not, Tatsugiri just doesn't die. And either I win by sweeping them with Dondozo, or it dies like too late. Like where they'll hit me with like clear smog or something like that to take away the stat boost. So Flamigo has nothing to copy. But it depends.
Interesting.
I got to stagger them onto the field.
I'm not going to look up what Dondozo
don't.
and stuff is, but I'm really curious now. Yeah. I have been enjoying. I mean, I haven't watched any of Wolf's videos on Gen 9 specifically with like, you know, the content kinds of things, but I have been enjoying his videos. Oh, never mind. Oh, Trev. Okay. I couldn't tell at first if that was the ing at the end of that. I was like, oh, okay. It's not a bad thing.
Wolfie was fixing that by Tatsu using Endura and having your teammate use Final Gambit to take it to 1 HP. So I have Endura on my Tatsugiri. Just again, in my experience, that hasn't worked with the people that I'm battling. And I've been winning a lot. It just, I haven't been winning with the Flamigo getting the boost, which is why I'm kind of debating taking Flamigo off. But I don't have anybody like that would be better per se. So
I think the one thing that's always like, I don't know, a little bit disappointing about competitive Pokemon and stuff to me is it does seem so meta heavy. Like whereas with Smash, you know, from just out of nowhere, like, oh, suddenly Wario's actually really good just because this person's really good with Wario. And like, you know, you can kind of have people just be really good with somebody and that's it. Whereas it feels like if you don't know the specific meta and know exactly what things to prepare for and all that, like obviously there's challenge within that. Like once you know it, then like here's the parameters and how to, like the challenge is how to, you know, overcome all those at the same time and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it does feel a little bit lame in some ways that it's like, there's really just like 27 Pokemon that you should be using.
I've been complaining about this for decades. The video game is math.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you and Pete talking about it.
If you don't have the best number,
and
you will not win. Period. Like there's ways to get to the best number like, with different Pokemon, but like even then you have to use the best numbers to subsidize the bad number that you chose to pick because you like that bad number. At the end of the day, they're all numbers. And like that's like also true with Smash. Like characters are numbers, but there's infinitely more ways to make your number work. Which is why I think the battle system sucks. But I love Pokemon for everything else, so I'm dealing with it.
Yeah. And it's like, again, it's definitely interesting and it's cool and it's fun. But it is something where like
it just feels like Pokemon is checkers when like Smash is chess.
Yeah. Or I mean, even, you know, like within
really
chess,
Pokemon's tic-tac-toe and Smash is chess.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, not too far off in the sense that, like, with tic-tac-toe, there's certain things where it's like, if if you move here first or second or whatever, like the other person cannot, there's no way to win. You can draw or you can lose, but you just can't win because this person did this move or whatever. And it feels like there's something to be said for that, where like, you know, if you don't have something to stop a Kyogre that has blah, 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 whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. Like if you haven't prepared for the possibility of them having that, then like, no matter how good the things are that you have, there's just like a lot of different trump cards that you need to pick which trump card do you want to choose, and how does that account for all the other ones at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, it's kind of like the same
interesting
thing
in and of itself, but it's
like this happens in every competitive game where there's certain strategies, and those strategies work, and then people develop counterplay to that strategy, so you have to counter those like Rise said, there's already hard counter teams to the Dondozo strat. That's why my team is not fully centered around Dondozo. That's why really exactly. Dondozo is the like final boss to the other layer of the fact that, you know, oh, okay, he has Tatsugiri on his team, he's probably going to double down into this strat. I'm going to clear Smog, and I'm going to bring Torkoal, I'm going to bring freaking Amoonguss and all that stuff. I have counters to that. But that's what it is. It's just like you figure out the number, and there's the number.
Yeah. That said, though, I mean, this probably feels like the most exciting time to be paying attention to like competitive Pokemon, because it's while all that stuff is like evolving. So something seems unsurpassable or insurmountable or whatever. And then somebody figures out some strat to counter it and stuff like, so I can imagine that would be a fun time to be kind of finding out about that and seeing the first time somebody thought of this combination of abilities and hidden abilities that can do this cool thing where, you know, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So it's interesting. I don't know that I would never care to put the time into it for all those things, for me personally. But again, you know, it's fun watching Wolfie videos where he's like, you know, I won this tournament by using this weird strat with his Haunter that something that nobody else was using, because blah, blah, blah. And
I just do wish that it was easier to use 6 Pokemon that you want to use. Like, it's definitely possible to include any one Pokemon that you want on your team, as long as you pick 5 other Pokemon that perfectly synergize with that one bad Pokemon. But I do wish that because I went into it being like, I want to make a rain team, and Quackavolt is a water type Pokemon, so he should be good in rain. And also, I want to use freaking Tatsugiri and Dondozo, just because I think that that's a neat concept. Not even because of the battling side of it, but because they don't synergize well. You kind of can't. And that sucks.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It would be fun if it was a little bit more like, you know, just more like the show where, you know, like there's a gym leader that just has, you know, whatever Pokemon they have. And that's I don't know. Yeah. All that just would be fun, but not to downplay what is there for the people that enjoy it, but it just would be nice if, you know,
Trev said, also let me use the fairy with the big hammer and the poison monkey. That's a fact. See, I put so I told you I have Sableye on my team, right? Originally I tried Grafaiai, but Grafaiai sucks. And doesn't really help with like the overall strat, because like not all of my Pokemon are like set up heavy in terms of like they're not good at setting up for themselves. But if I have speed control from a different Pokemon, which Grafaiai I can't really do because it doesn't get Thunder Wave, whereas Sableye does, I had to make that swap. Plus it's just freaking stupid. It's dumb because Grafaiai is affected by the prankster attacks, whereas Sableye's not, because Grafaiai is not a dark type Pokemon. So it's stupid. Pokemon is dumb.
Yeah. What a time. I'm excited to find out more about the different Pokemon there are, though, like as I'm playing through. Yeah, like I mentioned at the beginning, I mean, the only game I'm playing right now at all is Pokemon. Even that hasn't been very much recently, but hopefully more moving forward. We'll see. But yeah, just like the bits and pieces I've seen of Pokemon that I haven't run into yet, they seem cool, and I still don't really know how to get to just have a chance to use all of them. We'll play by ear. I've already had a bunch, and I'm like, man, I want to have 54 of these Pokemon on my team, but it said I can only have 6. So yeah, you know.
Well, you have more than 6. especially if you're just playing in the store, just swap them.
Yeah,
Just have a rotating cast.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, otherwise I'm not playing any games. We Ashley bought me kind of an Xbox Series S because it was on.
You got another one
bundle. Well, so I had bought the one, or I'd gotten the one.
You
X
had the one X before,
one
yeah.
S. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
it was
yeah.
Xbox One S.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when it was, but we. Yeah, I think it was when we were saving for house. Yeah, we were saving for house stuff and just like really trying to not use credit cards, and money was low. So I sold it, and that was sad. And so she was like, and so she bought the Series S. Nice. And I was like, I don't know that we can afford it right now. And so we returned it. And so I didn't end up getting it. And also, I think less than just not being able to afford it or anything right now is like, I've got 3 huge games. Well, one of Live Alive's not like a huge game. It's like a 25-hour BJ. But still, you know, like
25 hours is a long time to be doing a thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Pokemon, you know, now and all that stuff. Like I just don't know that I'll have time to play an additional console.
Yeah, like by the time you're ready to play Xbox, it could probably be cheaper. So
yeah, exactly. And other games will have come out that like you know, priority wise. So it's one of those things that once I had one again, I was like, I'm not actually gonna use it very much. Like by the end of having before we sold the 1S, I was like, I'm not using this that much anyway. So, you know, sucks, but is what it is. So yeah, I'm still not playing anything else, just Pokemon. And there you go. Yeah. I in both of the podcasts that disappeared. I talked about 2 games that I was playing at the time, kind of, but then those podcasts disappeared, and so I haven't talked about them at all. But Battleship Brigade and Trifox, I saw that there is a patch for Trifox, so I'm going to try that out. Nice. And then let anybody know how that pans out, but I haven't gotten a chance to do it yet, so we'll see. But yeah, that's about it as far as playing stuff, so we'll see. And lastly, Q&A.
Q's.
Which we've just got one little question today. And here it is. Megman said, what is your top 3 Gen 9 Pokemon? Other than that, no question for me. Keep up the good work, lads.
Quackable, Grafaiai, even though he's bad, and Tatsugiri. And no specific order. Those are the 3 that I like the most so far.
Nice. I think that I've only seen about 12 of them. So I can't say with a whole lot of confidence, but oh man, there was at least 1 or 2 that I was particularly happy about. Now I'm forgetting. What Pokemon would I have seen so far?
Your starter.
Charcadet. Big old fan of Charcadet already. And I mean, I know that I'm going to like when it involves Cerulege and stuff, which I'll just trade with somebody to get. I don't care one bit about Armarouge. So it's going to be part of, you know, I'm going to have it in the decks at some point. But there you go. And then otherwise, yeah, I mean, I like my starter, and I just like a bunch of the Pokemon. I haven't run into a Smoliv yet, but I'd really like to because I think that name is really cute. So that's where we're at.
That does evolve. Can't say that.
I probably won't like its evolution as much as I like it.
You might not.
I think that's just typically the more that they're like cute and fun in their first evolution, the less likely I am to like their evolution, because, you know, at that point it loses whatever cool thing that has. Like Lechonk, not a big fan of its evolution. It's silly and fun, but like Lechonk is just such a, you know, it has the staying power in and of itself. But
Trev said he's a Titan fan. RP said Charcadet and Fighting Monkey new form so far my fave. Yeah, I like that too. Okay. There's a lot of Pokemon I like a lot in this game. There's a lot of good Pokemon. Yeah. I'll say that much. Some of them I wish, a lot of them I wish they were better. A lot of Pokemon that I like are not great.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, that is tough because like I was about to say it doesn't really matter to me if they're great or not because like I'm not doing competitive stuff, so I don't really care. But even then, I like to have stronger Pokemon on my team for at least like
I didn't even want to use Grafaiai in the
Pokemon
League.
Yeah,
like I swapped him out for the Pokemon League.
Yeah.
He's that not great. Granted, I didn't have a prankster Grafaiai, so like if I had that, maybe it would have been slightly better. But even then, it's like it's annoying to like use like competitive strats in the Pokemon League because you're like almost nerfing yourself. Like it's way better if you have 6 Pokemon that can all individually steamroll the Pokemon League. I'm not trying to do freaking prankster strats. I'm not trying to doodle with a slacking the freaking like it's cringe.
I was going to ask about that specifically also. What is like difficulty level in this game on the higher end as compared to, you know, classic example of Cynthia, you know, she's really good and stuff.
I don't even think it's like that. I think the end game battles in this game are super doable. Like
nice.
That's one thing about this game that I'll say they did a way better job at pacing in all regards. Like nothing at least to me, nothing felt cheap. You know, nothing was like, oh wow, like everything about the design of this game told me that I should be at this level, but now you're telling me I need to be 20-30 levels higher than that. I was always within a margin of like where they wanted me to be, and the only times that I was like extremely over leveled is when I like intentionally went in the complete wrong direction. Like the front of mind example is Trev kept making it seem like the water gym was the worst thing to ever happen to him. So I'm like, okay, this gym is annoying, so I'm going to save this gym for last. It's like the 4th gym in terms of difficulty. So when I went to the gym, I freaking
so even if it was hard,
no, because he's talking about the gym challenge, and even the gym challenge, I was like, all right, all right, you blacked, like you're wilding out. I just hated it. It was fine. It's fine. But yeah, no, the way he talked about that made it seem like he was like the water temple. So I was like, I don't want to go there now. I'm going to save that until the very end. And I saved it for the end. And I was like, well, that was anticlimactic. I thought that was going to be harder than that.
Man. So after all this now, how do you feel about like, you know, how we wanted it to be? The gyms can be done actually in any order and all that kind of stuff.
They can, but they can't. They can, but they can't. Like,
I mean, but like in a future game, if the gyms were like scaled to you, like, would you still prefer that the gyms would actually scale?
I see. The thing is, like, the only good way to do this is to nuke the battle system. It is the only good way to do it, because them scaling to you. At that point, it's not an open world game in the way that they intend it to be. It's not Breath of the Wild. They want it to be you walk into Ganon's castle and you see Ganon and he freaking destroys you and you can do nothing to him unless you're very good. And that's not really a thing that can happen in this. Like if you like, you can like find some like some fringe like freaking berry juice shuckle strats of like some Pokemon that you can cheese at low levels with higher level Pokemon, but not in the way that like I'm just really good with the Pokemon that I like a lot. That's not going to work. You're never going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to be like, my favorite Pokemon is freaking Fanpy. And I'm not going to evolve it, but I'm going to run through this entire game just with Fanpy. Like, you can't do that because it's not about skill in this game. It is about numbers and understanding the numbers. And the best way that you will be able to cheese it is by finding a good number or a Pokemon that can fudge the numbers. And not all Pokemon
I do
can
wonder, it feels like the two ends of the spectrum are Breath of the Wild on one end, where it's like, you can go fight Ganon if you want. It's really hard, blah, 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 whatever. Or Mega Man on the other side, where it's like technically everything is equally achievable from the beginning, but depending on how you route things, it would turn out differently. And so I feel like the scaling
I'd
still
kind
be
of argue
interested
that
to
Mega
see
Man
it go.
is kind of the same as Breath of the Wild.
I mean,
Because Mega Man, it's like, and Breath of the Wild, if you do everything in the order that the game intends you to do it, it's pretty easy. But if you go straight to the end, it is very not. The only difference
do that
with
in
Mega Man,
though? Can you go straight
that's
to
what I
the
was about
end?
to say. The only thing that you can't do in Mega Man is go straight to the end, but you can sequence break and make it harder for yourself
Right.
in a weird kind of way. Where like in Breath of the Wild, the like equivalent to that, it would just be like Breath of the Wild having less depth. Basically, it's like Mega Man is either you can go in the order and you go to Zora's Domain and all that stuff in the order, or for Mega Man's case, you can be like, I'm going to do the
Gerudo first.
Exactly. That's how Mega Man works.
Which is for sure harder. I remember going to the Gerudo Desert kind of early and being like, I don't know about this.
Exactly.
And then turned around and went somewhere else.
And Pokemon is like it's Mega Man. It's like you have to do all these steps before you go to the final boss. But you can choose which steps you take anyway.
I'd still think I would like to see it where instead of starting at the beginning, like the bottom of the map and working your way up, you start in the middle of the map and choose what direction you go in. And it's just like, the classic thing of first gym, Brock is like, all right, this is your first badge. Here's 2 Pokemon, and then like as you keep going, badges. But like still there's it's 2 Pokemon that they've selected what difficulty they're going to be at. Like they basically create multiple different teams for that gym leader depending on when you come to them and how many badges you already have and that kind of thing. And then from there, it makes it to where you can optimize the experience in a different way in sequential playthroughs, and that seems like a fun little thing to do, as opposed to more or less always going the same way or sequence breaking, but like with weird level curves and stuff like that. But still, I'm glad they did this.
I think the best way that they can do that is if they drastically the best case scenario is that they, like I said, change the battle system entirely. Yeah. But the best way that they can do that with the one that they have is drastically improve their AI and make it so that there is an intended order. Like it is like Brock's first and the last one is Giovanni, and Giovanni is infinitely smarter than Brock is, but they do use Pokemon that are like relative to you, or even they don't, depending on who they are. Like Giovanni would be somebody that's like, I don't care what level your Pokemon are, I'm freaking Team Rocket, dude. Take this level 80. But then you have Blaine who's like, all right, fine, like I'll play your game. And then you have some gym leaders that's like, I'll use a Pokemon that's 10 levels over, like all different like spectrums. And I mean, the best case scenario in that regard, or all of them, is that there's more gyms than just that, where it's like an Elden Ring thing where they're like the bosses that I fight don't necessarily have to be the ones that you fought, like there's like in theory 20 gyms, you only need 8, but these are the 8 that I went to, I think that would be a good way to go about it. But that would require a lot more dev time and a way bigger game.
Oh, seriously, yeah. I mean, even with the Giovanni, Blaine, blah, blah, that kind of thing, like you mentioned, having there be story things related to those where, like, depending on, I mean, this is a very, like, The Witcher kind of thing, but, like, if you do a side quest early on that involves this person, then they'll feel these ways about you. Right. And because of that, that'll change your experience later, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like, Giovanni's like, actually, again, I like this kid. I am going to use Pokemon that are around his level.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I mean, RP said Mario 64 when you just need 70 out of 120 stars to beat Bowser. So, yeah, you can choose which 70 of those there are. Or you can BLJ your way straight there and go from there.
Like that could like be a way to scale difficulty for people that want a higher challenge, where it's like, all right, you have 8 gyms. I mean, you have you have all the 8 gym badges that you need in theory to beat the Pokemon League. Go beat the Pokemon League, and like they can go in either direction, where it's like, okay, you only have 8 badges, so it's going to be really hard for you. Or I think the thing that makes more sense for the tryhards is like the more badges you have, even after you have that 8, the harder the Elite Four is. Where it's like, oh, you got all 20 badges, so we're using all level 100 Pokemon on you, and we're super smart. And I mean, if like competitive Pokemon fans actually like that, which I think is weird, we're going to be cheesy as f. You know, like we're Cynthiaing it up. Everybody. You know. I think that would be a smart way to do it too, because it allows that to be opt-in as well. Where it's like, if you want that challenge or whatever, go get all 20 badges. Or don't if they go in the opposite direction. But
yeah, and I'm sure they'll have plenty of time to make the game that does exactly all those things in the future.
I mean, they could if they wanted.
But I mean, at this point, they could also, you know, seems like they're streamlining things for themselves. In terms of like, at this point, Pokemon designs or like, you know, not designs, but models and stuff are future proofed and all that kind of stuff. So like, hopefully they're making it so that making games in the future is better, you know, and they're testing ideas out to where they can hopefully use those ideas to streamline some stuff down the road as well. But TBD. And with that,
the podcast is done. We did the thing. It didn't blow up. I mean, it did, but it didn't. You know?
Yeah,
we're here.
And,
you know,
TBD if the second half blows up, we're actually...
I might not be able to hit the end button, but we'll see. Like, comment, subscribe, do other things. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the like button, share with a friend. If you're also freaking on YouTube, go check out the podcast service. If you're on the podcast service, go to YouTube, do that. You know, vice versa. Freaking rate the podcast. Tell us what you think. Okay, goodbye. Have a good night. Eat toast or something. Later, man.